Okay then, so today we're in my recording studio, Noiselab Project Recording Studio. Gonna have a look around here and I'm going to explain what I've got and kind of what I use it for. And there's a lot of synth modules in here if you're into that sort of thing. Gosh. Okay, let's start from left to right. In the left here, at the back, there is a cabinet that I've custom made. It's got two speakers. They're like vintage Celestians in it. That's for guitar related stuff. There's no guitars in here today. They're all stored somewhere else. Okay, it's a camera there. Okay, settee at the back over here. This is a microphone I use a lot. This is the AKG Perception 420 condenser microphone. It's pretty good. Lots of different polarity configurations and stuff like that. There's a synth here. It's not used at the moment. It's called the Plugiator, and it emulates Mini Moog Pro Odyssey. That's yeah, and the Pro 12 sequential circuits. It's got a problem with arpeggiators going through it. It tends to freeze up, so it's a bit of a pain. That there's my gonk up there, Cookie Monster. Right, okay, let's get to the real stuff. Over here we have got, from top to bottom, there's a screen. I've got many screens here, a lot of computer systems with custom menus, and a lot of boxes with switches on, which means that I can change what system goes to what screen depending on where I am. There's another one there. Okay, so let's get back here. Here's the first synth. It's a Waldorf Blofeld polyphonic synth. Sounds nice, lots of patches. Patch category browser, which is important. I like that. There's an analog synth here. This is the Waldorf Pulse 2, paraphonic if you like, or monophonic. It's got Waldorf's patented grid for adjusting all the parameters and stuff like that. That's pretty nice. Code 61 by M Audio mother keyboard with some wood underneath it, because unfortunately they make it a bit skinny and it bends if you put it on a stand. So yeah, it's not bad. Lots of drum pads, patches, different configurations can be set to the sliders and knobs, etc. This is my favourite mother keyboard. This is the Novation Impulse 61. Programs are quite easy to sort out, so you can assign MIDI CC channels to all of the knobs and stuff. Action's pretty good, semi-weighted, as is that one. I like that. I use that for controlling a lot of stuff. So down below we have the Zoom G5, which is a good multi-effect processor for the guitar, but I use it a lot for synths. There's a lot of cool stuff in there, and there are some hold sustain pedals down there. So next thing, another screen, not used at the moment. This one's the heart of my live jamming. It's the BeatStep Pro. You can sequence drums and two other tracks on it at the same time. It's monophonic, but step sequences usually were. That's pretty good. I like that. Roland TB3, which is a recreation of the 303 from Roland from years ago. It's not pure analog, but I love the performance controls on it, the scatter control and the envelope mod adjustment, and it's so much fun for jamming and stuff. So let's go down below. First of all, I've got a bunch of mixers here, all going into another mixer. As I've got more gear, I've needed more mini mixers. So there's the first mixer here, 10 channel Yamaha mixer. I've got a few things going into that. Down below, let's get that bit for now. The Beat Buddy. I use this for jams. It's designed for guitars, but it's good for synth jams as well if you load up the right sort of sound bank. there's an extra control for it. And just above that, got my guitar preamps. It's a Laney Ironheart and a Seymour Duncan twin tube classic. They're pretty nice. There's an EQ unit down there. And going up here quickly, first of my speakers, it needs fixing. You can see that speaker's a bit knackered, not being used at the moment. Great big JBL TLX 20s for some extra oomph if you want to hear what the big sound sounds like. So going over here, Yamaha NS10M, a classic old school monitor speaker on its side, because I don't have room to put it flat. There's another screen here for one of the computers. Now this is running the computers I built. This is running a custom menu system, as are all the computers in here, for live jamming and that, to simply select the synth that you want via an Xbox 360 controller. No mouse or keyboard needed. And this unit here I call the VST box. I built a few of these, and the idea is for it to be used with that, and then you select all your synths, and then when you've done with the synth you're playing with, you go back to the menu system. And I put the software that I made for that in all the other computers so they can be used in the same way, whatever their size. There's another one of the computers there. So down here there's an old Yamaha R100 effects unit. There's an orange micro dart, fantastic little amp for metal, but importantly it has got a send and receive effects on the back, which means you can tap it and just use it for a preamp. And actually for metal, even though it's cheaper overall than these preamps here, it's for metal, it sounds better, so that's great. Let's stay down here and then go up in a sec. So here's another synth here. We have the Korg MS2000 4-note virtual analog polysynth. Yeah, that's pretty good. There's my Marshall Valve State Pro 120 power amp here, which I send preamps from there into there. Also needs extra EQ when I do that, so there's another EQ unit there for that. Below that there's a patch bay. I've got a lot of gear now, and sometimes I have to route it in different ways, so there's the patch bay. So under that there's a Drama old school compressor for when I'm importing vocals and stuff, and below that I've got so much MIDI gear. A lot of it's not on the patch bay, but some things are that I need to change around occasionally. And below that there's a Dodd compressor pedal for the guitar. There's a tube screamer type pedal here, also for the guitar, and here we have a cabinet emulator. This is the Torpedo cab. It emulates the power amp and a speaker cab section. They're pretty expensive, but if you want good results without making much noise, and you can't afford a Kemper or an X-Effects, it's pretty damn good. They also do it in software. I got mine free when I bought this. It's called Torpedo Wall of Sound, and it's by far the best software I've ever heard for emulating guitar cabs. So let's go back up here. It's the first of my key step controller keyboards. It has a sequencer and an arpeggiator. It's pretty small and compact, so you can use it almost anywhere, even on the bus, if you've got a power pack for it. Above that, this is a line mixer. I've got so many synths and things here that I started to get lots more mixers. Above that, we've got the classic Novation Supernova 2, a virtual analog but jack of all trades synths. That's pretty cool. And then meat and potatoes Roland XV 5050. That's pretty good for general stuff. Excellent for the rock organ sound. Really good for that. So it's more meat and potato stuff rather than synthesizing on the go. There's another screen. It's also attached to this one most of the time, which is displaying the Mini Moog by Arturia at the moment. So down here, this is my main mixing desk. This is connected to my DAW PC and also to the main amplifier. The DAW PC is running an older version of Pro Tools 7.4, I think. Does the job for me, not too bothered. And when I'm jamming, don't use the computers at all. So, that's another thing, except sometimes this VST box, I have effects in it, so I use it as an effects box. It's connected up by routing to various things. Oh, that reminds me, this thing here, all of the outputs from my different mixers and stuff going into this, then going into the main desk, and I can apply a certain amount of the effects that's coming from there or there, if it's routed into there, etc., or there or from there into the various desks, sends, and yeah, it's got pretty complicated in here, but it's working for me. So over here again, yes, that was another monitor. There's a Korg Nano controller. Use that with Pro Tools a bit sometimes, drag it down the front here. Also there's a Micro Korg 37. They're nice little portable things. I also put that there a lot of the time for use with computers. This is my main DAW PC. It's pretty old. I'm going to upgrade it, but it's running Windows 7, and it kind of does the job, especially as I'm outsourcing a lot of the sounds. If I'm using Pro Tools to other gear and then recording it back in, so it doesn't have to work too hard. And over here, this is my tube preamp. If I'm inputting a microphone, I'll use that. That's pretty nice. And then from that, it sends it out as a line signal to here, and then from here, sends it into record here. And the other end, there's 10M monitor, and here's one of these modern Porter Studio things, the Zoom R8. I've only used that for putting backing tracks on and jamming to them and recording over the top of them, just for fun. Guitar based usually, not the synth based stuff. And let's have a quick look under here before we go up the top here. What do we have? There's the amp that I'm using. It's an old Kenwood Hi-Fi amp, does the job for now. It's an old CD player, tape deck, headphone monitor adjustment. There's a sustain pedal there, and a load of plug sockets and stuff. Okay, let's go back up here. Alright, this is the most useful MIDI control surface I have at the moment. It's an old Evolution UC33E. I've been designing my own custom templates. There's one for the Mini Moog here. I've got some prototypes, done about 8 so far. You just stick it on with magnets, and God, that really opens some stuff up. Yeah, I like that. So hopefully in the future I'll be making some and probably selling them for the Novation Launchpad XL. That could be pretty cool, I think. Okay, there's another mixer. I keep adding them, and they all get sent to this one, which then gets, like I said, sent to the amplifier and speakers, or to the Pro Tools, both at the same time if I like. Above that, the Waldorf Strike Fet simulates ye old string machines with phaser effects and stuff. 70s stuff like the Selena. It's not too expensive. It's nice. I pulled up quite a few patches and added them to jams, live synth jams. Yeah, I like that. Okay, over here we have the Dave Smith Tetra. Some people think of it as half of a Dave Smith Prophet 08, although it's multi-timbral. 4-part. It's like 4 of these, the Mofo, at once, but you can play 4 notes at once, so it does all the Prophet 08 sounds, and it has sub oscillators as well. That's pretty nice. I programmed a lot of its hidden controls to a template I made for this. That helps to open it up. Unfortunately, I couldn't do it for the LFOs, but most of the other useful functions I managed, so that was good. Here's the semi-legendary Korg Radius. I'm using it as a drum sample playback machine at the moment, and it's got lots of nice combinations and pads on it. It's thought of as a virtual analog synth, but it does a lot more than that. It's a general purpose all-round synth. What is it, about 24 notes polyphonic or something? Yeah, it's a nice machine, that. Here's my trusty Moog Minotaur. I've used this on every live jam. It's such a good sound. And again, I've programmed the hidden functions to a special template for that, and it really helps a lot on that. I can turn certain things on and off, sync buttons and all sorts of stuff. And yeah, it's great. Love that. Monophonic it is, of course. 2 oscillators though. So there's the Dave Smith Mofo. At the moment, I'm using it as extra oscillators for this because there's an audio in. You can get a really fat sound from the Minotaur then, if you're looking for that, of course. More akin to a Jupiter or maybe an Oberheim. That's a really nice option to have. It's also nice on its own, but seeing as I upgraded, as it were, to the Tetra, I was trying to think of a use for it without using it as an extra voice for the Tetra, which you can do. It just seemed a waste to do that. 4 will do. So anyway, I'm probably going to keep that now. I was going to sell it once. So there's another controller keyboard, 37 note one this time. There's a lot of programmable functions on there, although none of these keyboards have more than 16. This has 33, and so does the Launchpad XL. And yes, I know the Behringer BCR 2000 thing, but that's so big and bulky, and I don't really want that in here. So I'll stick with that and get a Launchpad XL, I think. Classic, Nord rack 2 times. They didn't discontinue it that long ago, even though it came out a lot further in the past than that. The control surface on it is a good surface to learn on. It's sort of mostly, almost exactly knob per function, and it's got a classic sort of design, the way the sections are, and it's not confusing like an ARP Odyssey, where you look at it, for example, and you think, God, what terminology are you using for this? They haven't quite standardized synth terminology then for a lot of functions, but this is good. So yeah, sounds good as well. 20 notes polyphonic, especially in combination mode. It can layer up the sounds up and create sort of harmonized sounds on top of others, which is good for things like organs and that, so that's nice. There's another screen here. I can press a switch over there and it'll send the computer, whichever computer I'm using, over to here instead. So if I'm playing a soft synth, I can see it on the screen, and if I programmed it, use that. There's a, behind this mic shield, there's a Shure SM58. I last connected it to the vocoder of this. That did a good job. I've also got an SM57. It's over there in a little pouch. So, oh yeah, one more cab here. This was meant for a synthesizer or an organ, but I've just tapping the cabinet part, I wired in a connection straight to this, and it's got the same speaker that the Marshall 1960 lead has in, so it's a good speaker for rock and metal. You know, it's attached to this system, as is the Marshall. So there you go. That's the whole skiboodle here. I'm hoping to be making a lot more videos in the future. Unlike this one, because I'm moving around, I'll be using my condenser microphone over here, like overhead, if I'm sat down talking, or I'll hold this 58 and I'll be using that. And anything else left to mention? I'm bound to have forgotten something in it. No, I think that's about it. So that's my home studio, February 2018. Hopefully I'll be making a lot of quickie review videos for a lot of this gear and a lot of software that I use, and some tips talking about using this, you know, extra oscillator sounds in it, and making templates, and building this VST box, as I call it, the menu system. Yeah, hoping to produce a lot of content eventually. So there you go. That's my home studio. Oh, as an end note, I'll just mention I'm not completely new to studios. I set up a commercial studio in Bristol in the 90s and recorded some of my albums there, and Porter's Head started using it, and then in the mid to late 90s they bought into it, so I co-owned the studio with them, and eventually bought me out about 8 years ago. So I've since been putting together this home studio, reconfiguring it every couple of years, changing it gear in, gear out, and this is what I have at the moment. Okay, I hope you enjoyed checking out my setup and my first proper video for my channel, which wasn't just a live synth jam that I did last year. And yeah, I'll see you lot again. Ta-ta. Yes.